Hi guys, and welcome back to Chip's Green World, and a very good morning to you, young lady. In this week's vlog it's going to be all about topiary. We're going to be giving the mini topiary its second clip since we created it. Also we've got a new lollipop style topiary that we're going to be repotting and reshaping. So that means one thing guys, we're in the potting shed today. Hi and welcome back to Chip's Green World. I'm Chip. The courtyard, that's Spud, Flower, that's Gypsy Boy, the work, the jobs. Join us on our adventures. Let's get to work. Right guys, this is the new member of the courtyard family, my little lollipop tree. Doesn't look much at the moment, but I've yet to get my hands on it. And then also we're going to give the little mini ball a second trim, get it thickened up. Put him to one side for now and let's start on the new topiary. First we're going to tackle the size of the pot, as it's way too big. It should be half the size. You don't really want the pot to be bigger than the actual topiary ball. Right, so first thing, let's address the size of the pot and let's take it down a notch. First let's do a bit of digging, see how deep this bark goes. It's going down quite deep, so let's tip it on its side. See what's going on. Wow, that's a lot of bark. I think we've got 2/3 soil and 1/3 bark. Very unusual. And very wet with all the heavy rain we've been having over the last couple of days. Right, so now as we've removed 1/3 of the bark from the top of the pot, we now don't need to remove the 1/3 from the bottom, as now it's at the perfect height for the new pot we're putting it in. I am slightly worried about the trunk at the bottom. It's very wet. Let's just hope I've caught it in time and it'll dry out and it'll be fine. Right, so this is the pot that we're going to be putting it in. So we're going to have to take this root ball down to half the size using my little rake. And by taking this down to half the size and putting it into a smaller pot, you are bonsaiing it, which means it will need special care and attention from now on. It will need watering more frequently. It will need to be repotted every so often. And when I say repot, I mean take it out of the pot, refresh the compost and put it back in the same pot. And a regular feed. Right, I think we're nearly there. Let's give it a go. Oh, not bad. I think I'm just going to take a little tiny bit more off and then we'll be ready to go. Right, so we're going to layer 1/2 inch of grit in the bottom. Then I'm going to layer on the top of that 1/2 inch of stagnant moss to give it a little bit of a boost after what it's just been through. Also to help it settle in. And I think we're ready to pot up. Place the tree in the pot. And when placing the tree in the pot, make sure you've got a big enough gap around the edge to get your fingers all the way down to the bottom of the pot. Press it down firmly on top of the stagnant moss and embed it into the gravel. Now it's a case of making sure you get it extremely level and straight at this point. Last thing you want is a wonky tree after all this effort. Then start adding the compost. Packing it in tightly around the bottom of the pot, getting your fingers all the way down to the bottom, making sure the tree is lovely and secure. And another thing to note, when picking a pot to do this kind of thing, remember you will have to repot this and refresh the soil at some point. So keep in mind the style of pot you use determines how well and easy you're going to get it out when you come to refresh the soil. Right, last little bit and we're nearly done, and then we can move on to shaping. Right, so first thing is to take out the dead wood. This, when I bought it, had no dead wood, so this has appeared since. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about, it's probably just been knocked about in transit and a branch is broke and then died later on. So let's snip them all out and then we can start reshaping. And the reason I say reshaping is because this has been hacked at. I'm not sure who's been hacking at it, but they couldn't have done a worse job. Right, so I've spent a bit of time looking at it now and I think I can see where the globe is going to be. And the problem is, the bottom needs to come off. Once the bottom's off, we'll be able to then find the top, as we can't find the top until the bottom's been located. And there it is, and what a lovely one. And now that's letting me know that the top is slightly too high, so I'm going to have to chop into hardwood. It's not ideal, but needs to be done. Taking about an extra inch off the top from its previous cut. And now this will be where we come to find the monk's crown when we next come to trim. We'll just ignore that. Right, back to the topiary. Quick recap. First I found the bottom, which gave me the top. And now we've got the height, it also gives us the width. And with this lollipop style topiary, it's always best to start at the bottom, near the trunk. We need to come up with a special name for that, so I'll give it some thought and get back to you. Maybe trunk bottom, or even ball bottom? Maybe not. I'll get back to you. Oh, I think I've got it. Globe bottom. Right, so now the height is the same as the width. We just need to turn and clip until we're happy with the shape. This is slightly one-sided, a lot more dense at one side than the other. But nothing to worry about, as that will fill in over time. As I turn it now, you'll see it's slightly wider at one end than the other, so let's take a bit off this side. And it's the other side that needs to fill in. So by taking a bit off here, it should balance it out. Right, it's starting to look more globe shaped now. Just a little bit more tinkering and I think we're going to be done. I'm very pleased. It's looking rather good, even if I do say so myself. Right, there we go, first one down. Now let's move it onto a stool about there, while we get ready to move on to round 2, trimming the mini lime ball, or maybe I should just call him mini lime. Right, just let me quickly check the camera angle for this one. There, that's much better. Let's get comfy and then we'll start round 2. So this one's going to be a lot easier because we've already done all the groundwork when we created it. So first step, find your monk's crown. And you know the rest, down and around. So this is Mini Lime's second trim since we created him. And hopefully it'll have thickened up quite a bit. So I'm hoping by the end of this it's going to look very different to when we first created it. The top half seems to have thickened up really well, but the bottom half still needs a bit of time to fill in. You have to remember, we only created this about 10 months ago, so it's doing quite well. And the easiest method to get it to thicken up is to keep trimming. Trim it any time there's anything sticking out. You can trim it every week if you want. The key to thickening up your topiary is to trim it more often. Right, it's coming together now. I'm very pleased. It's thickened up quite nicely. Just a little bit more tinkering and we're going to be done. Very pleased. Looks lovely. Yep, we're done. Right, so let's place them both back into the courtyard. On the courtyard table, which will be their home, alongside the other courtyard table plants that we use in all the floral displays in the courtyard. Let's place Elizabeth there. And then we've got Mini Lime. Let's put Mini Lime on a little pedestal so he doesn't feel so left out next door to the tower that is Elizabeth. Adding back the Amazon mist and the creeping wire vine. And there we go. The little courtyard table family is growing. And a big welcome to our new addition, Elizabeth. So that's it for this week's vlog, guys. Hope you've enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and I hope you'll join me next week. Okay, have a great week, guys. Bye now.